All right, it is the week of August 18th. MetaMentors back from our summer break. Ben did some traveling. I want to hear a little bit about that. But this week, if you don't have time like normal, click on the links below. But we're going to go through some topics. We've got the ETF revolution, an update on what's going on there. FTX finally goes to jail, but not permanently. So Ben will fill us in on that. Illuvium and GameFi has become a huge disappointment, or has it? And then there is a brand new style of NFTs called soulbound NFTs, and it's new. Like Web3 and crypto, there's always something new. So we're going to get into that too. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Let's go. All right, Ben. So tell us about your summer trip with Abby. Where'd you guys go? What'd you do? How'd the Hivemapper work out?
Many of you know, besides MetaMentors, I have a side project YouTube channel where I do road trip trivia. So on this road trip, we went, from Ohio to Kansas. I dropped Abby off in Kansas. I went to Texas and then back up. So it was like 9 states and a lot of miles. But that was why I went ahead and requested the Hivemapper. I just downgraded to the shitty version, and it ended up working out all right. So I paid $299 for that Hivemapper, and as of right now, I have $320 in honey tokens. So that's on the Solana network. Yeah, and because it's on the Solana network, I should be able to bridge it over to Solana tokens pretty cheap. I was telling Ryan earlier that I plan on, from this point forward, now that it's paid off, doing half and half, keeping half in honey, keeping half in Solana.
Yeah, Solana was one of the other topics I wanted to talk about this week. I'll follow up on it maybe next week because we can't do it all. But man, Solana's just killing it. So
yeah,
I think any Solana tokens you can get. I mean,
yeah,
and as I've been watching the market, it's taken a dip here lately. In Solana, I mean, it's negative also, but it's not taken near the percentage dip as some of these other cryptos. I mean, people know there's some stuff coming.
Yeah, it's interesting because I keep expecting, people when they start dogging on crypto, and they're like, all these altcoins are going to zero. The only thing you should be worried about is Bitcoin and maybe Ethereum and Solana. And it always catches me off guard when somebody throws in Solana. I'm like, what is it about Solana? I like Solana, but it's just weird because you expect people to say, Sailor, Bitcoin only. And then a couple other people are like Bitcoin and maybe Ethereum. But
and
now it's like
Litecoin.
Yeah. But now it's like Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum, and Solana. And it's just always like, oh, all right, well, I'm going to keep adding up to the Solana. So that's pretty cool that it's on the Solana network. I could see why that would be helpful with the amount of data that's moving around on this deal. So it's pretty cool because it goes from Monday through Sunday. That's your earning time. And then it has to process all the video and stuff. And then on Thursday, it just dumps it into your Phantom wallet, and which is just a decentralized, exterior wallet. So pretty cool. Yeah. And I'm at 320. I don't remember how many honey tokens it is, but it's $320 worth. So
that's awesome. That's
paid for itself.
More than I would have thought. I mean, I didn't have any idea, but that I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah. The Coin app, the other one that I use when I'm traveling, earns so much slower, but in hindsight, I didn't pay anything for that. It just runs on your phone. It's got no hardware. So it makes sense that if you're going to make the financial investment, that they would have to have a little, and maybe it's only this way at the beginning. Coin token was pretty lucrative at the beginning and has sort of phased off now that there's a lot of users. So maybe now it's just the hot time to be using Hivemapper.
Yes, sir. Maybe so. And speaking of financial investments, the ETF revolution is coming on strong, and it's not just Bitcoin now; it's also Ethereum. There's been ETFs filed for Ethereum now also. So let's take a look at this. All right. So ETFs, this is the talk of crypto and everything else. This is what a lot of people are saying is going to be the gateway to institutional money, really like breaking through. If you're not familiar with some of this stuff, we've made 1 or 2 episodes now prior to this, so you can go back and take a look at that. But it's just electronic traded funds, and it basically just makes it easy for big companies to start investing money. But what's interesting is we're starting to get some kickback, of course. And so I'm just going to read some highlights from this article. Well, of course, this article will be down below so you can check it out. Not everyone is on board with the crypto ETF train. Critics argue that Bitcoin-linked ETFs could be even worse than centralized exchanges for the crypto market. There's zero possibility of withdrawing the underlying instrument. This means holders are never able to take advantage of the single most important thing about Bitcoin or some of these cryptocurrencies, and that's the ability to control the funds, to pull it offline and put it in an actual hard wallet. And when I have discussions with people that are not familiar with cryptocurrencies or Bitcoin, they've heard of it, but they don't know. That's one of the single biggest points when I talk to them, because the whole idea of buying digital currencies or assets or whatever is so hard for people because it's not tangible. So then when I tell them you buy it and then you need to pull it off the internet, you take a USB, which is it's basically it's a hard wallet that's a USB. You pull it off the internet, put it on your USB, and you put it in your safe. And then they're like, oh, okay, so you can have like possession of it. I'm like, yes, absolutely. That's what you need to be. Well, the problem with ETFs, again, that a cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, gives you is you can't hold it. The ETF is held by an exchange, a financial institution, and you're just buying into that. It's not like when you buy Bitcoin online from an exchange and can move it over to your wallet, then you have sole access to it. And so, again, we're getting away from this whole decentralized theory, which pisses a lot of people off because the original internet of, the 2000s, that we have today, that was supposed to be decentralized, and it quickly became centralized entities that are running it. So you're starting to see some of this kickback, but there's some other pieces that go into this. So as traditional financial institutions take the plunge and launch crypto-related trading products in the United States, demand for institutional grade custody, what I'm talking about, is skyrocketing. Early August, so this month here, saw 6 major asset managers file applications to launch Ether ETFs. So we're slowly, I don't even know if you can say it slowly. It feels slow to us investors that are in it, but we're rapidly moving towards these traditional financial products with cryptocurrencies, which, remember, not that long ago were called scams. So we're seeing
That's a
this
good
happen.
point. Yeah.
It's rapid. It's not just behind the scenes now. We're rapidly
That really
seeing
does
it.
make, just the way you said that, I hadn't thought about it from that point of view. It's like these same people that are now building ETFs and financial products around these tokens were the same people that just a couple of years ago were, that's a scam, that's fake, that's nothing. And now it's like, okay, well, they were either wrong or purposely deceptive, but now they're making the financial products around it. So that's really cool. We've come a long way in a short time.
Yeah, and it's hard when we're in the trenches like we are. Sometimes it's hard to step back and actually realize that until you start seeing other people bringing it up, and you're like, yeah, you know what, you're right. I guess I totally knew that. I just hadn't put it or thought in that perspective. Custody 3.0, an era characterized by active participation in decentralized economy, is evolving to include connectivity on-chain services and DeFi applications. So what does that mean? The whole idea of these ETS services, although they're decentralized or they're centralized, it's creating a whole nother demand down the road for these connectivity and on-chain applications. So we're seeing, again, it's like a broken record. I know we are. We're seeing this mass explosion into all these different areas, financial, entertainment, like all these different areas, because again, the technology is so advanced and it makes so much sense. With these ETFs, we're going to see an expansion into all these other types of tools and stuff that allow people to either hold it themselves or it's held with a financial institution. So demand. Ultimately, you sum it up in one word: demand. Outside the US, we're seeing a global trend toward clearer regulatory framework for digital assets. So they call it a regulatory domino effect, but you're already starting to see it in Singapore, Hong Kong, United Arabs, and Europe. We've talked about this before. The US is losing ground. They're losing ground really fast. These other institutions, Canada is already has a spot ETF, and it it brought in like $400 million in the first 2 days. These other countries that are, and we've talked about this numerous times, Ben, these same countries come up all the time: Singapore, Hong Kong, United Emirates, Europe. We had a whole big discussion about that. They're on board for the most part, and they're moving forward with these technologies. And maybe the US is, we're just not seeing as much. We're seeing a lot more trouble with regulation, lack of.
That's why countries like Singapore get McDonald's NFTs and America doesn't. It's that exact reason right there. They're not even playing ball over here. They're going over there.
The arguably the biggest, the most well-known American franchise, food franchise in the world, McDonald's, and they're starting NFTs or some of these other projects in other areas because we're being poo-poo heads. We need to get our act together over here in America.
Or Singapore's always going to get all the good stuff.
Yeah, they ain't messing around. So let me wrap this up. The domino effect triggered by crypto ETFs is not a shift. And it's not a shift, it's a revolution. It's an impending transformation that will redefine the financial landscape. And it's not just about money, it's about the potential for a more inclusive, transparent, and efficient financial system. This is a prime example of, you don't know there's a problem until there's a better solution, and then you're like, holy shit, I can't believe we've been putting up with this for so long. Last statement, love this statement, highlighted in green. So the question is not whether to embrace crypto revolution, it's to get ahead, crypto revolution to get ahead, but rather how to do effectively or risk getting left behind. So it's not about getting ahead of the revolution, it's about doing it effectively. And if you don't, you're going to be left behind. The time to act is now.
It's not about whether or not to join. Join is the obvious answer. So now it's how to do it effectively, how to effectively get in there. What should you be investing in? What should you be learning? What should you be looking into right now?
Exactly. Where is the major money going? Because it's not just behind scenes anymore. It's very transparent where these moves are happening, if you're willing to spend the time to watch our channel and do some investigating yourself, of course. So that's what I've got on the ETF revolution. It is here. It's happening. The time to act is now.
You know, it wasn't that long ago that the time to get into crypto was not, or it was not the time to get into crypto. At least you didn't know how to get into the crypto. When it was talking about how to get into crypto effectively, how to figure out this industry effectively, you could have made the wrong choice. And it wasn't that long ago that FTX was not only one of the major choices, but it seemed like it was the one that everybody was shoving down your throat, man. Celebrities, everything. And it turns out FTX was ran by SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried, and that guy is either crooked or just dumb. Some of the stuff that he does lately just seems dumb. But whatever it is, it has gotten him thrown in jail officially. So let me bring it up here. There we go. Sam Bankman-Fried, he was on like house arrest. They gave him probation. They're like, just sit at your parents' house. That's where he lives. Sit at your parents' house until it's time for you to go to court. And just don't do anything stupid. And you don't have access to the internet or anything like that. So he gets a laptop and he gets on the internet. So they're like, you can't do that. So then they take his laptop and then he uses his parents' computer and he gets on a VPN. And they're like, we have cameras in your house. We know you're on the computer. Can't do that. So then they take that away and slap his wrist again. And then most recently, he's been contacting potential witnesses and potential people who will be, put on the stand against him in trial, and just like corroborating some stories, just trying to, hey, just making sure that you're not going to tell them the story about the thing.
Stuff that criminals do.
Right, exactly. And it's like, but he's not doing a very good job of hiding it. Anyways, the judge found out and he's like, okay, I don't know what to do, but we can't leave you sitting at your parents' house if you're going to break every stinking rule we have. So he's officially in jail. As of this time, he's in there until his trial, which is still 6 weeks or 2 months away. It's a ways away till trial, but he is officially in jail. SBF the head of FTX, which was one of the huge dominoes to fall back,
Yeah.
was a year
Mid
ago,
this
last
summer.
summer. Yeah. So I can't believe it's already been a summer, but of course, when that fell, then it really knocked a lot of stuff and showed the instability in a lot of
Yeah.
projects, and also took Solana way down because he was a big investor in Solana. But the good news is, when we're talking about is now a good time to get into it, it's always a risky time. But the more people who blatantly break every single rule and law and, are malicious with customer funds, the more of them that go to jail right now, the better. You know what I mean? So
It's
having
important.
him having to pay up for this, I'm sure he's not the only one who's doing it. He is a figurehead of FTX, which was basically a Ponzi scheme. So it is nice to see some people pay repercussions, because that makes the whole industry safer when it's as transparent as it is, and you can see who's doing ill will. The whole purpose of the Web3 is to kind of protect every person and have every person have a piece of the overall pie. And you can't do that when you're investing in something and you're like, I'm investing safely in, Cardano through FTX, and they're taking your money out immediately and paying celebrities and stuff to advertise it, but your money isn't there except for on,
Yeah.
a digital ledger. So it is nice when you see things get righted, and I don't wish jail on anybody, but hopefully he learns his lessons and never has anything to do with crypto ever again, because I think there's better people doing better projects that we should be looking at. And SBF screwed a lot of people hard. So they've been dancing around whether or not he's going to go to jail after the trial, but apparently he's so dumb that they're throwing him in jail before the trial, and probably after also. And that's what I've got on Sam Bankman-Fried, head of FTX.
Okay, we're going to talk about Illuvium here, and specifically, as you can see, this title, Illuvium's collapsing token represents the problems with GameFi. GameFi, huge deal. We've talked about this a bunch, Ben. A lot of the gaming blockchain gaming, crypto gaming, GameFi is leading the way in a lot of this technology and excitement for what's going on with Web3. It's also, without a doubt, the biggest market for what's the word I'm looking for? Has the biggest growth of any other market. It's way bigger than movies, TV. The only thing running next to it is decentralized finance. So, anyways, point being, this article is about GameFi, Illuvium specifically, and it's talking about the collapse of the token. And I just kind of find it funny. Full disclosure, if you've been watching the show, I own some assets and some ILV tokens. I own some Illuvium stuff. So I am involved, but let's just jump into this article. I'll kind of point out some of the funny things to me, but it is legitimate also. Illuvium was one of the most highly anticipated crypto game releases in history. The price of the ILV token has fallen significantly since 2021 to the tune of 97%. It has. But most of crypto has fallen somewhere between 80 and 97%. So this is at the extreme end, but do take note that all of crypto has had a huge tumble down. Let me just continue on. The project's developers have not released anything substantial for quite some time. The immersive gameplay and impressive graphics are not enough to stop the game's token. So I would argue against that. You don't have to go far. You can look at what Illuvium's done on their website. They've already started rolling out some of these games. The Overworld, Overworld's not rolled out, but Zero, the beta is in the second stage. So yes, it has not been released yet, but almost none of the AAA games have been. And the ones that have fallen flat on their face. And a lot of people believe that's because they're kind of waiting for the market to turn around too, which would make sense. But point being is they're saying they haven't released anything impressive. They've released a lot of stuff impressive. The main game, if you can call it that, the Overworld, has not been released, but they are releasing betas of that. So you can actually see what's going on. And And if you don't believe me or don't care, you can go to Twitter and actually see it too. So again, I would say I don't know that that's correct, that they haven't released anything exciting. But let's keep going with it here. If I can find my right page. Okay, here we go. When GameFi emerged, it had a lot of potential, but it has been largely underwhelming. It's not an easy task to build quality AAA games. We all agree with that. It is a complex, expensive process with intense competition. So, what does that say? To develop AAA games takes a long time. We talked about this many episodes ago where, when they were building your main games now, Halo, I'm dating us a little bit, but you played Halo a lot. We have no idea how many years Halo was in the making before it actually came out. With blockchain gaming, GameFi, we're aware of it from early on. So you as a anticipated player or investor, you're seeing this from early on that these things are developing, is where Halo might have been in the works for 7 years or
Right.
14 years or something. So
Before they ever said coming soon Halo, they were
yeah.
already 80% done with it. You know what I mean? They had already done all the background work, all the creative work, all the design. They had the people, they had the developers. And then they're like, okay, coming soon. As we are doing the beta testing, the final stuff, we can now start to tease it. But by then, the game is built.
Right.
But this, as soon as they say, we should build a game, it's out on Twitter. Everybody knows about it, especially if you're raising money through a token.
Yeah, and that's part of the fun, is you get to invest in the future of this. Like, you're like, I really like this. I think I'm going to go ahead and buy some tokens, or I'm going to buy some assets or whatever as they come about. So that's kind of part of the fun. It's also can be part of the frustration because you've got some of your own money in it and you're anxiously awaiting. Point being, Illuvium is constantly rolling stuff out there, and it's always quality, super quality. Moving on. With all this in mind, it's fair to say that many of these games may not prioritize their players. Audiences wait months for the arrival of new games, only to find that they are low quality, poorly designed, and lacking in entertainment. And then right below it, you've got this tweet that says, "Illuvium Overworld is still beautiful on low settings of my laptop." So it's the opposite of what this comment above makes, but that's kind of my point. It's one of those that it's, like I said to you before the show, you can see we're at that point in the bear market where even some of the articles are having trouble dogging some of the stuff because we've just been down for so low. It's expected. It just goes on to say that they're seeing the same thing consistently with all these blockchain games. They're selling their tokens, they're raising funds, but there's no actual game that's released yet. But I would just like to remind that we're in a new area. What is an actual game? Like, if they rolled out Overworld or the complete package, I mean, games are constantly updating and adding new skins and stuff. Like, it's all a work in progress anymore. So to call it a finished game, I don't know if you can even call it games finished anymore like we used to.
Right, because even now I play Halo Infinite on the computer, and every 4 months or every 3 months it drops a whole nother upload update. They fix the glitches, they add a couple of new game types. They're constantly building this game. Even though Infinite came out years ago, it's like it's still not done. Every time that they find another thing that they could improve, they just release an update.
Yeah, it's a constant improvement. They're constantly adding. Again, that's one of the values I find with these projects. That's one of the reasons I invested in Illuvium, is I think they're doing something exceptional, and it's a part of a franchise. It's not just this one introduction or one game. It's a whole franchise of games that will continue to build. So they do make a good point here. Illuvium's tokenomics, 45% was set aside for the team and investors. Only 10% is assigned to the game rewards. That's not quite true. And if you do some digging on this, there's some real reasons for this. Trying to get a team together to build something exceptional is not easy in this competitive market. If you don't give those people something to be excited about, maybe a large amount of tokens or something. And there's also a pay structure to that too. They can't just take those tokens. There's all these things that go into it, right? So you can't take this article at full face value, although that's a true statement. There's much more to that. And if you've ever watched like as in some of our previous videos where we've looked at interviews of Karen, the CEO, and his brothers, like they're investing their own hard-earned money and blood and sweat into these two. So you got to have some faith in the team. I do, again, which is why I've invested in some of these. So wrapping this up, while it has some impressive designs and ideas, the game is still missing a lot of features, and there is significant room for improvement. Of course, he doesn't list any any improvements or what it's missing there. He just makes that statement. But even if it's $100 million title is successfully produced, the question remains: are there enough blockchain gamers to support it? So there you have it. We've talked about this numerous times before. There's this argument of, can blockchain really get enough players? Is it going to become the future of gaming? Will everybody eventually be all playing blockchain gaming? This is a crypto magazine, and they're saying, hey, is it possible that that there's going to be enough blockchain gamers? You and I don't both believe 100%. There's no question that's going to be the case, but it is kind of
the trick is
we're still in that bear market where they're still asking these questions.
Right. The trick is there are enough gamers to support it. You just have to make a game that's fun enough to play for gamers to play that has blockchain wound into it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
No, I hate when people are like, you need to support this or you need to support that because of what it represents. It's like, if you make a movie that's good enough for me to watch and enjoy, I'll support it. Same with the game. I will probably play a blockchain game, or I'll at least give it the benefit of the doubt. But if you want mass adoption, you just got to make a good game. You make a good game that's built on the blockchain and has blockchain elements to it, people will come, even if they're not blockchain people. You just got to make a good game. And one thing Illuvium is doing right, even if it's a little slow and even if they're falling short in some spots, is their artwork and their game. It looks amazing. I love it. I mean, I could see posters and toys and they've got all the other elements that a good AAA rated game has. If they eventually come out with a good game, no matter how long it takes, you don't have to have enough blockchain gamers. Just have to have enough gamers.
Yeah,
because
it'll
they'll
be
come.
Infectious.
Yeah.
It's funny. I thought they used Illuvium here. I covered the article because I like what Illuvium's doing, but this could be a lot of AAA gaming. The reality is, and this was my main point with this article, is we're in this bear market. People are building. Everybody knows that. If you only look at this, what's going on from a surface level, you're going to want nothing to do with this. If you do a little bit of digging, it's like, the gold is just under an inch of dirt, like all over the place within this area. So I thought that was kind of funny and also a bit entertaining. But
do you know what that cartoon right there? You know what that's from?
No, but I see versions of it all the time.
That's the final scene of Fight Club when Edward Norton's character is standing there and they're blowing up the financial institution. All the credit card company buildings, they've put the bombs in all of them. But yeah, that's
hilarious.
Yeah.
You met me at a very strange time in my life.
So that's the crypto version, obviously, of blowing up GameFi. Very nice.
Little subtle. See, that doesn't get past you, Ben. All right, that's all I got on what's going on with GameFi and Illuvium.
Okay, well then we need to talk about serious stuff in the crypto market right now.
All right, bring it down a level. Bora.
Boom. This month is Grimace's birthday at McDonald's. Grimace forever. And McDonald's is celebrating by giving away free NFTs that you cannot trade. I didn't understand what that meant. I didn't know if they meant they weren't going to allow you to trade. I didn't understand what that was. So I had to dig into it. One, it's only going to Singapore. Like we were talking earlier, the countries that are crypto friendly are going to get stuff like this all the time. Companies are going to go into this technology, and they're only going to do it in countries that are allowing this technology to exist. Before we get any further in that, my older brother texted me today and he said, his ADA in Coinbase is no longer earning interest because it says in South Carolina, the rules are now that they can't do that, which isn't the same in Ohio, like a couple states over. But I thought that was super interesting that he can't stake his crypto on Coinbase in South Carolina, but I can in Ohio. But that's
Yes.
that's what I'm talking about. It's like if a company, if McDonald's is allowed to do something in Ohio, but not allowed to do something in South Carolina, it doesn't really work here in the States. That does, it's not going to work real well. So they're going to just stick to countries like Singapore that are like, yes, we like crypto. So they're releasing 2,000 of these Grimace NFTs. And I thought this was cool because we always like, especially when big companies are doing anything in the Web3 market. So they're using Polygon, which is one of Ryan and my favorite, which is also cool because it seems to be in the purple side of things, like Polygon.
Yeah.
I see purple, and so they've
all the
teamed
time.
up. They're doing these Grimace NFTs. But the thing that really caught my eye when I was reading this article was the term, a new term to me. I don't know if it, Ryan and I aren't always at the very front of things, even when we're trying to be. So I don't know how old this term is, but I've never heard this term, and we've done a lot of research. And the term is a soul-bound token. So each one of these Grimace NFTs on the Polygon network will be a soul-bound token, which means that whatever wallet originally mints it, that's where that NFT stays forever. It cannot be traded. It cannot be exchanged. It cannot be whittled off or parted up. It's soul bound to that wallet. So you'd have to give somebody access to your whole wallet to have it. And McDonald's stressed it's just a free collectible for true fans. This is one of the ways, ticket scalpers and stuff like that who buy stuff, that's a big thing that they're trying to get rid of with NFTs, is like the Live Nation and, Taylor Swift tickets. If just the people who want to go to the concert can buy it and go use it, that'd be so much better than if, somebody with $1 million went in and bought all the tickets and then tripled the price of them and sold them on the black market. So I think there's something to these soul-bound tokens that we'll see a lot more of in the future, because McDonald's wants McDonald's customers who are in the store to have these and to keep them, because in the future, they said, they didn't really let slip what it was, but little treats in the future, like maybe anybody with a Grimace gets a free Big Mac on this day or whatever. But rather than selling it and letting somebody else do it, or having somebody with a lot of money being able to acquire all the Grimaces, these are only one per wallet, and they're soul bound to the wallet that mints them, which, again, for today's crypto web lesson, soul bound tokens are our word of the day.
Yeah, I wonder if like you said, we hadn't heard of it. I wonder if we're going to start seeing a whole bunch of it, because it seems like a real good idea to get your clientele or your fans to, like, I don't know if I feel like eating McDonald's today. I might go to Wendy's. But like, if you've got one of these things and you're like, oh, they might be having a special today, or like, and I won't even know until I pay with my wallet. Like, you're not going to take a chance. You're like, I'll just eat McDonald's. I'd rather have Wendy's today. I'll just eat McDonald's because I might get something for it.
And that's what, that's why they do all those customer loyalty programs. It's like, well, I'm already at 4, Big Macs or whatever. So when I order the 5th one, then the 6th one's free. So I might as well go one more time. So this is just putting it onto the blockchain, putting it into your wallet, and they're binding it to there. So it's like only you can do it. So I don't go get a Big Mac right now, then I transfer it to you, then you go get a Big Mac, and everybody who does it gets a Big Mac. And then by the end of the day, we've already got a free Big Mac on our hands. Soul bound will keep it to the person who originally mints it, who the company wants it to have. So, which is very cool, but it's also the exact opposite of like the business plan of like VeeFriends, where Gary Vee makes money every time it changes hands, which is also really cool. I mean, the fact that you can separate these technologies and do it exactly how you want, and McDonald's could release those kinds of collectibles, or they could release the soul-bound collectibles. I mean, and they're all on the same system, all in the same network. They all go in the same wallet. It's just moving so fast. I mean, you can't stay ahead of it. There's just too much going on. It's awesome. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's part of the fun. And again, this is during the bear market. Like this is when people
Right.
are building. You're not even seeing much of what's going on right now because people just have their heads down. But this stuff is going on. Yeah, this is the stuff we definitely geek out about. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a real exciting couple years.
Yep. And now I'm gonna go get some McDonald's because
Yeah,
now I've said Big Mac too many times. I'm hungry.
all right, well, let's wrap it up here. Be sure to leave us a comment, follow if you like what we're doing, and we'll see you next week.